So we're going to begin just something nice and short on Parshas Vayikra that potentially has absolutely nothing to do with Shalom Bayis, but at the end we'll figure out a way to twist it. The Torah this week, the fascinating parsha in Parshas Vayikra, the psukim of Karbanos. The psukim of Karbanos, and it begins that v'nasnu b'nei Aaron hakoyin ish al mizbeach. The children of Aaron hakoyin place a fire on the mizbeach v'archu eitzim ala ish, and they place wood on the fire. Comes along Rashi quoting the Torah's Kohanim and says, Rashi, why are you placing a fire? What was the fire on the mizbeach? The eternal flame. What was the eternal flame? It was a flame that could not be extinguished, a flame from God himself. No wind, no water, nothing could put out that flame. So there was always a fire burning, the fire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So comes along Rashi, and Rashi says, so why were the Bnei Aaron coming and putting a fire there? It's Hashem's fire. What am I going to light a fire? This is going to be a fire that's going to last forever, and Hashem is going to personally keep it going. So one might say, what's the question? What do you mean? We know that there's something called the maracha. You have to put the wood there. So clearly the answer to that is that the wood is the fuel. Man provides the fuel, and God provides the flame. But yet we see that the Nasnu B'nei Aaron, the flame itself. So Rashi quotes the Torah's Kohanim. It says, Afal pi sha'ish yiredes min hashamayim, even though the fire comes from heaven, still mitzvah lahavi min ahedit. There's a mitzvah, which is quite peculiar, quite intriguing. Why we have a mitzvah when something that anyways is going to come from heaven. So what's even a little bit more fascinating is Rabbeinu Bechai over here quotes a Gemara in Yuma, without going too in depth, and teaches us on this pasuk, who were the first people, the first Kohanim, to be placing the fire? The Bnei Aaron. What happened? Darshu Razam Zechus Yuma Loi Mesu Bnei Aaron Ella Shahira Alacha B'fnei Moshe Rabbeinu. My drush, what did the children of Aaron, what was the drush that caused their terrible demise? V'nasnu Bnei Aaron HaKoyanim Eish Al Mizbeach. They thought, I have to put the fire. Afal Pi Sheish Yiredes Min Hashmayim Mitzvah Lavi Min Hadit. That was their drasha. So everyone wonders, 1 second. They made this drasha, I have to place the fire. Why? God's going to do it, but I have to do it. They were killed. So what in the world are we doing? If they were killed, doesn't that prove it was incorrect? Continues Rabbeinu Bechai by quoting Rav Sadia Goyin, in which he explains that the toyus was like the Medrash says, is that they didn't ask Moshe and Aaron. The result was true. They got the right din. But because they didn't confirm it with the Rebbe, therefore they met their terrible demise. And the truth is, the Kli Yakar takes it one step further, which we'll mention in a moment. But first of all, that's a fascinating lesson. You could get it right, 100%, and for all eternity, we're going to continuously be the Bnei Aaron, not us, the Kohanim, that are going to add that fire, even though they were killed for it, because they didn't confirm with Moshe and Aaron. You could get the right result, but without the correct rabbinic supervision, without the correct guidance, it's inherently flawed to the point that they were killed. But the Kli Yakar goes and furthers this one step further and says the Kli Yakar, why? Why? A little bit of a tam. What's the reason? What are we doing? Kidei la'orev ish shelamala v'shelamata. And he goes Vayikra. What does that mean? What's happening over here is that yes, it's Hashem's fire. But even God's fire only begins with mankind. It's true, it will burn for all eternity. But if a man didn't go and light that first flame, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would never bring down that flame. And that teaches all of us an incredible lesson that we have to do something. We have to do something. Ultimately, we leave the rest to Hashem. But even when we know twofold, number one, Hashem will do it, we still have to do our own. We still need the human element mixed together with that which is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And number two is we can't make any step without asking for rabbinic guidance. And how are we going to tie this into Shalom Bayis? How are we going to tie this into Shalom Bayis? So we're going to say two things. What? Good, very good. Everyone told me about Hashem brachas recently. Eish, Ish, and Isha. The difference is if you have a Kadosh Baruch Hu between you, and perhaps we'll say a beautiful line. Once you're married, it's a little bit of a difficult line, but listen, everyone can do tshuva. Is that when one is looking for a spouse, what is the most important detail? The most important? I don't know. We can start listing. Everyone can go through their bucket list. Everyone can go through their laundry list, the part A of the list, the part B of the list, the non-negotiables, the negotiables, all the wonderful girly words that have become normal in our society. But Lamaisa, what's at the end of the day? The one entity which is real. So someone's going to say Yira Shemayim, someone's going to say Baal Midah, someone's going to say Chesed. That's all beautiful, it's all true, but that's not the most important thing. Why not? Because we're human beings. And you can be a Baal Midas today, and tomorrow you can have an issue. And you could be a Baal Yira Shemayim today, and tomorrow you're going to get caught up. The most important thing is what Nadav and Avihu lacked, is to be one who is Shoyel b'fnei Moshe Rabban. If someone has a Moshe Rabban, if someone has a Rebbe, a girl, a guy, it doesn't make a difference. Rebbe doesn't mean beard, Rebbe doesn't mean anything. Someone they confer to, a higher authority that they ask to, then they will never have any issues. Because then throughout the stormy life, they will always have someone to come back to. So b'siyata d'shmaya, as we conclude Hilchos Nida, and we've been working as well on our Shalom Bayis, we'll take the lesson and someone's going to say, well listen, it's too late, I don't have. So obviously, that's the perfect spouse you're looking for. But once one gets married, it's all more critical and crucial to have a Rebbe, to have a Rav. And I think as we learned through Hilchos Nida, if we cook out nothing more than ask a Shaila, you'll be pleasantly surprised, it was Kedai the Holy. Because unfortunately, all those who don't ask questions are not pleasantly surprised. And they walk around thinking, Nida is this evil, horrible, chumrah thing. The more you ask, really? Interesting, really? Everyone? Yeah. So, b'siyata d'shmaya, with that, we'll be able to combine our Eish Shalamata, our own Ishtadlus, with the Eish Shalamala, and thereby bring the ultimate Eish, Be'ezrat Hashem, with the coming of